Part 62. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 651. You can search for Pirate Plant Fruit popular in Baidu to find the latest chapters. The explosive shuriken hit the machine gun used by Rebus. Oops. Rebus quickly avoided it. Boom. The machine guns were enveloped in flames and smoke from explosions. Rebus also saw the king of ninjas, and he quickly took off a rocket launcher from his back. Let you try this. Rebus aimed the bazooka at the ninja king. The ninja king continued to approach. However, Rebus is confident that this kind of rocket launcher is so powerful that even if it cannot hit the enemy directly, it can still cause damage to the enemy in nearby areas. He is not afraid that the ninja king will escape this time. Rebus pulled the trigger. Boom. A rocket was fired from the bazooka. The rocket flew towards the deck near the ninja king. The ninja king easily avoided the direct hit of this rocket. But the rocket exploded violently on the deck it hit. Boom rumble. The rocket exploded violently. The huge explosive force produced by the rocket explosion will cover the surrounding area. Even the king of ninjas is no exception. Ahahaha. Rebus laughed excitedly. This rocket successfully hit the ninja king. Zoro, Sanji, and the apes saw the king of ninja being engulfed in the flames of the rocket explosion. King of ninja! The orangutan yelled in horror. Hateful! Sauron gritted his teeth and said. The ninja king was enveloped in flames from the rocket explosion and his whereabouts are unknown. This bastard! Sanji rushed over when he saw it. Sauron also rushed over. The orangutan wanted to rush over. He said to the orangutan, "Protect the boss, I will go over and take care of the enemy." "Okay," said the orangutan. The orangutan quickly rushed towards Rebus. Rebus was still immersed in the joy of successfully attacking the ninja king, but he saw Sanji and Zoro and the ape rushing towards him again. "Okay, let you have a taste of my heavy firepower." The ape quickly picked up a heavy grenade gun from a nearby weapon storage. This grenade gun can shoot large caliber grenades with great power. Boom. Rebus aimed at Zoro and fired the first grenade. Zoro parried sharply with the two katana swords in his hand, cutting open the grenade. The sliced grenade fell aside and exploded. It's quite difficult to deal with. Then I'll attack intensively. Rebus fired more grenades in a row this time. Boom 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 boom. The grenades shot at Sauron, Sanji, and the orangutans one by one. Boom 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 boom. Zoro slammed the two katana swords in his hand to cut open the grenade or detonate the grenade with sword energy, while Sanji used his feet to alternately kick away the grenade fired at him. But the apes were not so lucky. After dodging two grenades in a row, he was hit in the body by a grenade. Boom. After the orangutan was hit by a grenade, he rolled over to the ground. Hateful. The injured orangutan was temporarily unable to stand up again. Zoro and Sanji quickly approached Rebus. Both of them saw Lebasai's shape and face clearly. This is a tall and burly man, but there are no eyebrows on that face, and the mouth has surprisingly few lips, so the teeth are basically exposed through gnashing of teeth. 2 blades and 2 slashes. The 2 samurai swords in Zoro's hand slashed at Rebus. Rebus felt the extremely dangerous murderous aura accompanied by Sauron's 2 samurai swords. He quickly blocked the heavy grenade gun in his hand in front of him. Chiang chiang. The heavy grenade gun in Lebasai's hand was stabbed twice vertically and cut into 3 pieces. Rebus quickly backed away. Although this big man is not specialized in fighting, his body can be regarded as swift and violent. Sauron's body also fell to the ground. He was about to kill Lebasai, who was a few meters away in front of him, but he saw Lebasai took out a double-barreled shotgun again. Become a hornet's nest. Rebus clenched his double-barreled shotgun in his right hand and roared. Just as he was about to pull the trigger, Sanji's leg kicked him in the waist from the side. loin. Sanji's attack caused Rebus to collapse. Boom. The double-barreled shotgun in Libasi's right hand also missed and shot in mid-air. Rebus, who was attacked by Sanji, turned over. Zoro looked at Sanji and said, "I won't thank you." Sanji glanced at him and said, "Huh, I'm just fighting my own battle." Rebus quickly stood up again, aiming the double-barreled shotgun in his right hand at Sanji and shooting again. Boom. The shot fired. But Sanji jumped away the instant he pulled the trigger. The shot hit the deck. Although this heavy warship was made of steel, it was still covered with a layer of hardwood. A large hole was punched out of the hardwood on the deck, even exposing the steel inside. Cut meat. Before Rebus could continue to attack, Sanji quickly approached him. This time Sanji kicked Rebus' right hand with a flying kick. Rebus' right hand felt a sharp pain, and the double-barreled shotgun in his hand was thrown away. Not finished yet. Sanji took advantage of the situation and kicked Rebus in the head again. Brisket. Belly. Thigh meat. First-class minced meat. Sanji kicked Rebus violently with both feet, and then the big man fell to the ground. Just when Sanji was about to continue attacking, Rebus suddenly threw out a small bomb from his sleeve with his left and right hands. But both bombs were the size of pigeon eggs. Sanji looked at the two spherical bombs the size of pigeon eggs coming in front of him. Boom, rumble, rumble. Following two explosions, two balls of flame appeared and enveloped Sanji. What? Sanji howled in pain. Humph, you got hit by my pocket incendiary bomb. Rebus took the opportunity to stand up quickly and distanced himself. Sanji was wrapped in flames, but no matter how he moved, he couldn't extinguish it. Rebus suddenly felt a sharp pain in his right hand. The pain from being kicked by Sanji was still there. Sanji could kick an elephant away with one kick. Although Rebus was strong and resistant, it was still very painful to bear the attack. Don't make unnecessary struggles. After the pocket incendiary bomb explodes, it is a viscous incendiary agent, which cannot be removed from the human body. Rebus said, very relieved now. Sanji continued to howl in pain, his whole body was burned by flames, as painful as in purgatory. Sanji, who couldn't stand the flames burning his body, quickly rushed to the edge of the heavy warship's deck and jumped off. Thump! Sanji fell into the ocean below. Pirate plant fruit. Pirate plant fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 652. You can search for Pirate Plant Fruit popular in Baidu to find the latest chapters. On the deck of Guardian 4. Rebus looked at Sanji and said after he jumped, "This method can really extinguish the flames. But he must be burned, so he can't stop me for the time being." Rebus looked at Sauron again, and he was going to fight Sauron next. "Hey, green-haired swordsman. It's time for us to fight." Rebus looked at Zoro and said, "Okay, I wish I could." Sauron looked at Rebus and said. Zoro brandished a katana sword and prepared to fight Rebus to the death. Rebus looked at Sauron and he could clearly feel that Sauron was very difficult to deal with. Just now Sauron cut the heavy grenade gun held by Rebus into 3 pieces, which shows the power of Sauron's swordsmanship. Rebus quickly pulled out 2 more revolvers from under his coat. "Okay, try my 2 guns," Rebus said fiercely. Rebus quickly aimed the revolver in his left and right hands at Zoro's head. Bang 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 bang. Dense bullets fired at Sauron. Zoro quickly dodges before the opponent takes aim. Sauron quickly ducked behind a nearby box. Rebus looked at the box, his face changed. "It's really fast. You move the moment I pin the board," Rebus exclaimed. The revolver used by Rebus is a new type of pistol developed by Dressrosa Armory, which is far more powerful than ordinary pistols. Moreover, the bullets fired are not in the shape of ordinary pistol bullets, but a new type of bullet with a pointed cone, which has an exceptionally powerful penetrating power. Rebus' eyes returned to his two revolvers, each of which had consumed 4 bullets just now, and there were 2 bullets left in each, and new bullets needed to be reloaded quickly. Since this is the case, then I will give you some serious damage. Rebus just retracted the revolver in his left hand, and then took off the other rocket launcher on his back with his left arm. He raised the bazooka with one arm and aimed it at the wooden box where Zorro was hiding. Go to the west. Rebus pulled the trigger of the rocket launcher. Boom! A powerful individual rocket was fired from the rocket launcher. The rocket hit the wooden box where Sauron was hiding. Boom rumble. The huge explosion tore the wooden box apart, and Sauron, who was hiding behind, was also blown away. Sauron, who was blown away, shouted in surprise. Rebus looked at Sauron, who was blown away, very excited. Ah ha ha ha, cold weapons like swords can't defeat my hot weapons of gunpowder, Rebus said excitedly. At the critical moment, Zorro, who was blown away, quickly pulled out the third katana from the scabbard at his waist and held it in his mouth. 3 blades tornado. Zorro used the 3-sword-style tornado in the air. Zorro centered on himself, and the 3 samurai swords cooperated to slash around with a powerful sword aura. The sword energy produced a blowing force like a tornado, blowing up Sauron's whole body. What? Rebus on the guard no deck looked up at Sauron in shock. Sauron flew in the air with the tornado formed by the sword energy. Sauron can manipulate the tornado formed by the sword energy, and fly with this sword energy. Sauron finally flew to the top of the first mainmast using the tornado formed by the sword energy. Huh, it's finally safe. Sauron stood on the top of the huge mainmast and said to the deck below. However, the rocket just now caused some damage to Sauron's body. Now the clothes and pants on Sauron's body are a little tattered, and there are some scars on the skin. But basically nothing serious. Rebus, who was on deck below, looked up at Sauron at the top of the first main mast. This guy is so difficult to deal with, Rebus said angrily. Sauron is actually what Rebus hates the most. Because Sauron used cold weapons like samurai swords, Rebus himself was good at using hot gunpowder weapons, and he always dismissed cold weapons. Even within the Bellamy pirates, Libas, who is known as the Arsenal, has always been at odds with Sakis, who is known as the Sword. Guys who use cold weapons, Rebus, must make you all be beaten to your knees and beg for mercy under my weapons, Rebus said fiercely. Zorro continued to stand on the top of the first main mast, where he could better observe the deck below. This guy has really many weapons, Sauron said. At this moment, Sauron suddenly saw a burst of fire flickering at the bottom of the huge mast below. Call! Flames raged from the base of the huge mast. Flames began to burn the huge mast. What? Sauron looked in surprise at the base of the huge mast. The bottom of the huge mast is now rising with flames, burning the huge mast rapidly. But if you look closely, near the bottom of the huge mast, Rebus is holding a huge flamethrower gun and shooting flames at the huge mast. Ah ha ha ha, burn to death, Rebus roared arrogantly. In order to destroy Sauron, Rebus did not hesitate to burn this huge mast with flames. The flame from the flamethrower he used was formed by burning a special chemical fuel, which was viscous and difficult to extinguish. Under the shooting of this powerful flame gun, the flames of the huge mast quickly burned from below or above. The flames all burned to the huge sails, and the sails were quickly reduced to ashes under the burning of the flames. Cough cough. Although Sauron on the top of the huge mast has not been directly burned by the flames, the thick smoke formed by the burning is very choking. It's impossible to continue like this, Sauron needs to get out of here quickly. Sauron looked towards the sea beside guard no. No way, I have to go down first. Sauron quickly jumped towards the sea beside him. Rebus on the deck saw Sauron jumping towards the sea beside guard no. He actually jumped into the sea, Rebus said in shock. Thump. Sauron fell heavily into the sea. Rebus looked towards the sea, and he also stopped and continued to spray flames at the huge mast. Although the fire was stopped by Libasi's flamethrower, the huge mast was still burning in the raging fire. Rebus put down the fire-breathing gun, and he hurriedly looked for other weapons. "Okay, you all come up," Rebus said to the hatch that was responsible for helping him transport the weapons to the deck. Because Rebus wanted to fight the enemy alone, the crew of the Bellamy pirates hid below. Now more than 40 crew members of the Bellamy pirates, including the captain of Guard No, came up first. "Lord Rebus, all the enemies have been destroyed." Captain Guard No asked Rebus. "Pirate plant fruit. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 653. You can search for Pirate Plant Fruit popular in Baidu to find the latest chapters. "No, I just confirmed that I injured them. They will come back." Rebus shook his head and said. Rebus looked at Captain Guard No again and said, "Hurry up and order the remaining people in this warship to prepare for battle. The enemy's tenacity is indeed beyond my imagination." "As ordered," the captain of Guard No said respectfully. The reason why Rebus let the crew of the Bellamy pirates participate in the battle was because he deeply felt how powerful Zoro and Sanji were. If he continued to fight alone, there would be no results, and he might even fail. Fists, kicks and swords might not have much effect on ordinary people. But Zoro and Sanji are strong men with monster-like strength beyond ordinary people. So Rebus didn't dare to fight hard. Rebus began to hold various heavy weapons on his body again. In his hand he held a heavy-duty shotgun, a powerful one with 4 barrels. But 4 shotguns were fired at the same time. If it hits the opponent, it will cause extremely serious damage. A hit from a distance of 20 meters can turn the opponent into a sieve. His waist is covered with a row of special grenades. The 2 revolvers were also loaded. "Wait, if they come up again, I just want to let them die without a place to bury them," Rebus said fiercely. The 40 crew members of the Bellamy pirates who assisted him were also fully armed with submachine guns and rifles, ready to fight. There are more Bellamy pirates crew members coming out of the cabin of guard and onto the deck. Sauron, who jumped into the sea just now, was swimming in the sea at this time, and he quickly approached the side of Guard No's hull. "I won't give up until I kill you," Zoro looked at Guard No and said. Zoro then began to climb up to Guard. After Rebus ordered the crew of the Bellamy pirates to go on the deck to support, the crew of the Bellamy pirates discovered the injured Mont Blanc and the orangutan. "There are enemies here, kill them quickly." Groups of Bellamy pirates crew rushed over. The crew of the Bellamy pirates fired wildly at the location of the 2 with submachine guns. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Intense bullets were fired at the wooden boxes where Mont Blanc and the orangutans were hiding. Fortunately, there were some wooden boxes on the deck of this heavy warship, and Mont Blanc and the orangutan were able to use them as cover. "These nasty guys." The orangutan took out 2 pistols from his clothes and prepared to fight. He looked towards the injured Mont Blanc. Mont Blanc, whose right arm was seriously injured, received emergency treatment and his condition was temporarily stable. But his right arm was so damaged that it was difficult to fight. "Boss, you use this pistol for self-defense." The orangutan thrust one of the pistols into Mont Blanc's left hand. "Okay, you have to be careful too." Mont Blanc looked at the orangutan and said. The crew of the Bellamy pirates strafed with submachine guns for cover, and moved towards the position where the 2 were hiding. "Okay, deal with them with grenades." A crew member of the Bellamy pirates took out a grenade, turned it on, and threw the grenade behind the wooden box where the 2 men were hiding. The orangutan saw a grenade emitting white smoke being thrown to the ground. "Screw you. The orangutan has quick hands and eyes. He can pick up the grenade and throw it back to the enemy. Boom! A violent explosion sounded. 3 crew members of the Bellamy pirates were killed. Taking advantage of this opportunity, the orangutan rushed out. Roll on the ground to attack enemies in waiting. Okay, there's a guy. The orangutan picked up the 2 submachine guns in the hands of the 2 enemies who had been killed just now and started fighting. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. The 2 submachine guns in the orangutan's hands shot out 2 tongues of flame. The bullets hit 4 more enemies, and the crew of the Bellamy pirates fell to the ground. Hurry up and fire. There were still more than a dozen Bellamy pirates crew members who hurriedly shot in the direction of the orangutan. The orangutan quickly ran away. When he was dodging, he also threw away his long golden hair, which caused a visual disturbance effect and made the enemy's shots miss. What a bunch of nasty fellows. The orangutan hid behind a heavy turret and said. But he looked at the heavy fort again, and he quickly climbed up with an idea. The orangutan climbed to the top of the heavy turret. Several crew members of the Bellamy pirates went to the location where he was just now to find out his existence. What happened? Where is the gorilla? Just when the crew of the Bellamy pirates felt strange, the orangutan aimed at them with 2 submachine guns. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. A dense barrage of bullets was fired, and 5 crew members of the Bellamy pirates were shot and fell to the ground. The orangutan breathed a sigh of relief after the 5 Bellamy pirates were shot and fell to the ground. Boom! At this time, the top of the heavy fort where the orangutan was located suddenly exploded. What? The orangutan was blown to the deck. In the distance, Rebus was manning a small infantry mortar. Humph, he really knows how to fight guerrilla warfare. Rebus looked towards the orangutan and said. The orangutan who was blown to the deck was covered in scars at this time, and he tried hard to stand up again. However, he saw 7 crew members of the Bellamy pirates aiming at him with submachine guns and shotguns. Oh, look closely, a gorilla with long golden hair. This guy is a monster, but let's send him to hell. How about beating him into a hornet's nest? These Bellamy pirates crew are about to pull the trigger. Although the orangutan has a strong body, it cannot resist these bullets at close range. Explosive shuriken. Suddenly 3 exploding shurikens flew over and landed in front of the 7 Bellamy pirates crew members. Boom 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 boom. With 3 violent explosions, 7 crew members of the Bellamy pirates were knocked to the ground. The orangutan hadn't recovered from the shock. The ghostly figure of the Ninja King moved over, and the Ninja King held the ninja sword in his hand and moved for a while, plus beheading. After the smoke from the explosion dissipated, the 7 crew members of the Bellamy pirates who fell to the ground had their necks cut, and their blood spattered on the deck. The orangutan looked at the Ninja King. The Ninja King's clothes were torn in places at this time, and there were some scars on the exposed body parts. But his eyes are still extremely sharp. Thank you so much, Ninja King. The orangutan said with lingering fear. It seems that I came in time, said the Ninja King. Pirate plant fruit. Pirate plant fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 654. You can search for Pirate Plant Fruit popular in Baidu to find the latest chapters. After the King of Ninja was hit by the explosion of the rocket fired by Rebus just now, although he suffered some injuries, he quickly healed himself and went into battle again. The one who just shot in time saved the orangutan. Okay, there are still many enemies here. We need to fight hard. By the way, where is your boss? The Ninja King suddenly asked. Oops, boss. Now that the battle situation is so chaotic, boss is very dangerous. The orangutan said anxiously. Okay, take me there quickly. The Ninja King said to the orangutan. The orangutan hurriedly took the Ninja King to find Mont Blanc. Mont Blanc was seriously injured and was very dangerous in this battle. After the orangutans went out to fight to the death, Mont Blanc had been hiding behind the wooden boxes. Although the orangutans basically attracted the enemies away, Mont Blanc was still in extreme danger at this time. There seemed to be many enemies. Mont Blanc, who was hiding behind the wooden boxes, said to himself after hearing the noisy explosions and fighting sounds. Suddenly Mont Blanc's brows frowned. He felt an enemy approaching. Suddenly, a member of the Bellamy pirates with a submachine gun came to the back of the wooden box. He saw Mont Blanc. The crew member of the Bellamy pirates just wanted to turn the gun, but the trigger of the pistol held by Mont Blanc's left hand had already been pulled. Boom! A bullet hit the Bellamy pirate's crew member's forehead, blood spurted out for a while, and he fell to the ground dead. Mont Blanc looked at the enemy's corpse. He walked over and picked up a grenade from the corpse. The gunshots here just now attracted the attention of several enemies. 4 crew members of the Bellamy pirates began to walk towards the side, holding submachine guns and preparing grenades. Mont Blanc decided to take a preemptive strike and opened the mechanism of the grenade in his hand and threw it at the 4 crew members of the Bellamy pirates. Boom! The violent explosion left the 4 crew members of the Bellamy pirates covered in blood. After killing the 4 Bellamy pirates crew members, the sound of the explosion attracted more enemies. More than a dozen crew members of the Bellamy pirates walked towards Mont Blanc. The crew members of the Bellamy pirates used submachine guns to fire wildly in this direction. Mont Blanc was hiding behind wooden boxes. The enemies are getting closer. However, with Mont Blanc's condition after being seriously injured, he was unable to effectively resist the dozen crew members of the Bellamy pirates. Just as the dozen or so crew members of the Bellamy pirates were rapidly approaching Mont Blanc, suddenly 4 exploding shurikens flew over and hit the crew of the Bellamy pirates. "Boss, we are here!" The orangutan roared and rushed over. The Ninja King and the orangutan came to support in time. The King of Ninja quickly charged at the enemies disrupted by the blast and began the slaying. The orangutan swung his fist and rushed to these enemies, knocking them flying one by one with heavy blows. This sound is Mont Blanc, who was hiding behind the wooden boxes, was secretly happy for a while. The support from the orangutan and the King of Ninjas was indeed timely. It would have been dangerous if Mont Blanc was delayed. When the orangutan and the Ninja King were fighting, suddenly there was another loud voice. "Look at you bastards as I salvage the King Ape." Suddenly, the bruised orangutan also rushed out and joined the battle. After the orangutan rushed out, he waved his fist and attacked violently for a while, knocking down the crew members of the Bellamy pirates on the deck. Under the hard work of the orangutan, and the King of Ninjas, the dozen or so crew members of the Bellamy pirates were all defeated. Mont Blanc looked at the orangutan, the ape, and the King of Ninjas. "Boss, are you okay?" said the orangutan excitedly. "Boss, just be safe." The ape gasped. "I'm fine, you guys really supported me in time," Mont Blanc said. "Now our battle situation is very serious, we must wipe out the enemy to the greatest extent," said the Ninja King. "Okay, then let's keep fighting," said the ape. "The 3 of you should get out of here in a small boat as soon as possible. There are many lifeboats on this heavy warship. You all go there and take those lifeboats to escape," said the Ninja King. Mont Blanc, the ape, and the orangutan looked at each other, and all 3 of them felt that there was no need to stay any longer. Moreover, Mont Blanc was seriously injured and needed to be evacuated as soon as possible. "Boss, you have received such a serious injury, you should evacuate quickly. Otherwise, you will be dragged down here," said the ape to Mont Blanc. "Yeah, boss. We're only here to effect the fight," the orangutan also said to Mont Blanc. Mont Blanc also stopped showing off. "Okay, let's go. Good luck everyone," Mont Blanc said. "If Mont Blanc and the others continue to stay here, they will only be held back. So it's better for them to leave." Mont Blanc, the ape, and the orangutan then began to search for the lifeboats on the heavy warship. The king of ninjas continued to fight. Sauron finally returned to the deck of guard No after climbing for a while. Zorro wielded his katana and kept beheading the crew of the Bellamy pirates. Puff puff. Sauron's samurai sword killed the past, and the crew of the Bellamy pirate ship died. Hurry up and aim your machine gun at him. 4 Bellamy pirate crew members armed with machine guns set up 2 machine guns. The 2 machine guns aimed at Sauron and opened fire. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. 2 tongues of flame shot at Sauron. Sauron's body moved violently. Sauron used the obstacles on the deck of the warship as cover to fight. After moving for a while, Zorro got behind the 2 machine guns. These 2 machine guns are very close, and they are almost erected by less than 1 meter. Every 2 crew members of the Bellamy pirates manipulate the machine guns. The 2 blades spread their wings. Zorro quickly approached the enemy, and the samurai sword clenched in both hands slashed from the inside to the farther outside. This attack directly chopped off the heads of the 2 machine gunners, and blood spurted out. The sword energy emitted by the samurai sword also killed the 2 auxiliary enemies by the way. After killing the 4 enemies with machine guns, another 7 members of the Bellamy pirates rushed towards Sauron. Okay, I'll give you these 2 pieces of scrap metal. Zorro kicked 2 machine gun kicks towards the 7 Bellamy pirates crew members. Pirate Plant Fruit. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 655. You can search for Pirate Plant Fruit popular in Baidu to find the latest chapters. Dong dong. 2 machine guns knocked 7 enemies down. At this time, someone suddenly attacked from behind Sauron. Sauron had sensed the opponent's murderous intent in advance and avoided it in time. Boom. There was a loud gunshot and 4 shotgun bullets were fired. Although Sauron dodged ahead of time, these shotgun bullets were extremely powerful. It directly turned the deck where Sauron was just now into a hornet's nest. Ordinary shotguns hit the area as large as a plate, but the opponent's shot this time directly hit the area of 4 large pots. If the human body stood there and was hit, it would directly turn into a pile of meat paste. Sauron looked at the other party, and saw that it was Rebus, a burly man in a coat. Rebus wields a heavy shotgun with 4 barrels. This intimidating man looked at Sauron fiercely. Okay, you're still here. This time I'm going to beat you to pieces. Rebus said fiercely. Rebus loaded the 4-barreled heavy shotgun again. He aimed at Sauron again. Oops. Zorro quickly jumped up to dodge. Boom. With Rebus pulling the trigger again, the heavy shotgun fired 4 more powerful shotguns again. Fortunately, Sauron dodged the moment the opponent just pulled the trigger, avoiding being hit directly. It's really difficult to deal with. Rebus looked at Sauron who was dodging flexibly and said. He loaded the heavy shotgun again. Zorro discovered Rebus's short range with his heavy shotgun, which was a glaring weakness. Sauron took advantage of this situation to quickly keep a distance from Rebus. Rebus saw Suolong pulling away, and there was a strange smile on his face. At this moment, Libasai quickly took out another heavy sniper crossbow. This heavy sniper crossbow can carry out long-range sniping, and the crossbow also has a scope on it. Green-haired swordsman, I'm going to shoot you right through. Rebus aimed his heavy sniper crossbow at Zorro. This heavy sniper crossbow can shoot 300 meters away. It is extremely accurate and powerful enough to penetrate the armor worn by the knight. It can be said that Sauron cannot avoid it on this deck. Just as Rebus was aiming at Sauron, at the first mainmast on deck 4 of the guards. The mainmast was still burning because Libas used a flamethrower to attack it just now. Although the mainmast was huge, it was finally destroyed by the raging fire and began to fall. Squeak! The huge mainmast began to fall, and everyone in the Bellamy pirates on the deck of guard became very frightened. Oh my God, the mast is coming down. Run away quickly before you get hit. There's so much fire on it. The crew of the Bellamy pirates also fled quickly. Rebus originally planned to use a heavy sniper crossbow to shoot deadly arrows, but he saw the huge mast behind him burning with raging fire and fell down. Oops! Rebus ran away quickly. The huge mast finally hit the deck heavily. Boom! The huge mast fell on the deck with fire. Rebus managed to escape from death. He looked at the huge mast that had fallen. It's really terrible, Rebus said. The fallen mainmast, which was still burning ragingly, was caused by his previous attack with the flamethrower. At this moment, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Rebus. The other party clenched two samurai swords in both hands, and held a samurai sword in his mouth, with extremely powerful killing intent flashing in his eyes. It was Sauron, who was about to use his sword move. 3 swords to kill ghosts. Zorro folded his arms, 2 katana swords to seal off any air attack that Rebus could escape. He rushed towards Rebus at top speed. Chong! Rebus was cut, and Sauron passed Rebus' body and got behind him. Gudong! Rebus fell on the deck. Zorro turned back to look at Rebus and whispered, "Did you really kill him?" There is no doubt that Sauron hit Rebus just now, and all 3 cuts were hit. But the moment he killed Zhong Libasai, it seemed that the samurai sword had slashed on some metal. That's awesome. Rebus struggled to stand up again. He felt a sharp pain in his own body, chest, and stomach. Just now he was beheaded once in the chest and twice in the abdomen. Rebus stood up and turned to Zorro again. It's amazing. Rebus looked at Zorro with sweat on his face. Sauron saw his face. The opponent did suffer some damage, but it was not fatal. Oh, it looks like you're wearing something else under your clothes. Sauron looked at Rebus and said. Indeed. Rebus first took off his coat, and then tore the shirt inside. The innermost layer of the carapace was exposed. This layer of armor is densely packed like a net, which is the chain armor. The chainmail can be said to be made of small iron rings that are encircled by each other, forming a web-like stomach. This kind of armor stomach is not as bulky as a knight's full-body plate armor, but is more flexible and can be worn under clothes for self-defense. Although Rebus himself likes gunpowder weapons, due to his own disadvantages in melee combat, he has to wear such a set of well-made chainmail. However, Sakis also laughed at whether Rebus also used cold weapons, but Rebus insisted that chainmail and other armors are armor stomachs, not weapons. Oh, self-defense is quite comprehensive, Zorro said after seeing the chainmail Rebus was wearing. Rebus looked at Sauron, and he glared at Sauron fiercely. Your swordsmanship is really amazing. You can actually make me hurt like this, Rebus said fiercely. Just now, Rebus was killed by Zorro's demon slash from the front, and all 3 swords hit his body. Although the strong chain armor prevented his body from being hurt, he only avoided direct cuts. However, Sauron's ghost slash was extremely powerful, which also caused Rebus to suffer some internal injuries. Fortunately, he is tall and strong, so these internal injuries are harmless. Okay, then let's continue to compete, Sauron said to Rebus. Okay, I'm going to make you die miserably, Rebus growled fiercely at Sauron. Rebus was also very annoyed at being killed by Sauron like this. However, the heavy sniper crossbow in his hand was lost because the mast fell down, so he had to use other weapons. Rebus quickly took out a string of grenades on his waist, and he quickly opened the mechanism of several grenades in succession on these grenades. Zit zai 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 Pirates Plant Fruit. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 656. You can search for Pirate Plant Fruit popular in Baidu to find the latest chapters. This string of oval-shaped grenades emits a burning sound and white smoke. Okay, I'll give these to you first. Rebus threw the string of grenades at Sauron. Sauron quickly dodged away. The grenades then exploded in a series of explosions. Boom, 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 boom. Whether it was detonated or martyred, it was a violent explosion. Thick smoke from the explosion covered the surrounding area. Sauron managed to avoid the explosion of these grenades, but he couldn't find Rebus at the same time. That guy used this method to escape. Sauron looked at the thick smoke of these explosions and said. Rebus took advantage of the cover of the thick smoke, hurried to the place where he had placed the weapon before and picked it up again. He got a 6-barrel revolver heavy machine gun. This 6-barrel revolver heavy machine gun has 6 thick barrels on it, and the caliber of the bullets is far larger than that of ordinary bullets, which can continuously shoot out powerful tongues of flame. Next to the 6-barreled heavy machine gun is a huge box as big as a wooden barrel for storing bullets. It's time for you to play, baby. Rebus excitedly lifted the 6-barreled heavy machine gun. This 6-barreled heavy machine gun can be regarded as one of Libesi's most powerful individual weapons. Now that the battle is becoming more and more unfavorable, Libesi can only use it. However, this 6-barrel revolver heavy machine gun is as heavy as a light artillery, and only a burly man like Rebus can use it with both hands. Rebus picked up the 6-barreled heavy machine gun and started looking for Sauron. But Sauron was also looking for him at this time. He only saw a figure rushing over quickly, with a samurai sword in each arm, and a samurai sword in his mouth. It was Sauron or someone else. "Oh, you are here," Zorro said after seeing Rebus while running fast. "It's great that you want to die so much," Rebus said excitedly. He aimed at Sauron with the 6-barreled heavy machine gun in his hand. "Go to hell," Rebus growled. At the same time he pulled the trigger of the 6-barreled heavy machine gun. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Dense large bullets were fired from the 6 muzzles of the 6-barreled heavy machine gun. These large bullets tore through the air and shot at Zorro at an astonishing speed. Sauron jumped up the moment the opponent pulled the trigger, and in the blink of an eye, an astonishing tongue of flame swept past him. If Sauron slowed down by 1 second, his body would be smashed into mud. Ordinary machine guns just beat people into sieves, but the large bullets of this 6-barreled heavy machine gun can turn people into mud. The size of the bullet is also very decisive for the killing. Small bullets only hit the human body, but large bullets can tear the human body apart. Just as the ground that Sauron jumped to the side fell, the flames from the 6-barreled heavy machine gun swept over again. Sauron quickly dodged again, and these terrifying bullets shot in Sauron's direction again. Rebus kept firing in Sauron's direction. Now Zorro is actually fighting against Rebus' ability to aim and react. Once he was shot in a straight line by the 6-barreled heavy machine gun, Sauron would surely die. "Ah ha ha ha, run away. There will always be times when you can't escape," Rebus growled. Because of the powerful firepower of this terrifying 6-barreled heavy machine gun, the crew of the Bellamy pirates were also scared away from Rebus, not daring to approach the area where the two were fighting to avoid being harmed. Zorro was running and jumping, and he really felt that he had no way out. Even jumping into the sea now would be a dead end, because swimming in the sea was slower, and he would be hit by the 6-barreled heavy machine gun in Rebus' hand before he dived. Shoot to death. However, there is another enemy on this heavy warship that can be used to avoid. Sauron's eyes swept to the heavy forts on the deck. There are 2 heavy turrets on the deck, and Sauron is near the heavy turret at the rear. This heavy fort is made entirely of steel. Sauron rushed over quickly and hid behind the heavy fort. Dang 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 dang. Sauron had just hid behind the heavy turret, and the sound of those large bullets hitting the heavy turret resounded through the deck. It was horrible. Sauron said with lingering fear. These large bullets hit the heavy fort at a very high speed, and even left some slight dents on the heavy fort made of steel. If the body is hit, it will be beaten into rotten meat. Seeing that Sauron hid behind the heavy fort, Rebus stopped firing. After all, the 6-barreled heavy machine gun bullets in his hand are not unlimited. Okay, if you're afraid that my weapons will be treated like a shrinking bastard, I'll find you and kill you, Rebus said fiercely. The burly man began to walk to the back of the heavy fort. He was always on the lookout to prevent Sauron from making a surprise attack. Rebus arrived behind the heavy fort, and the 6-barreled heavy machine gun in his hand was aimed firmly at the front. But there was no sign of Sauron here. Oh, I wonder where this green-haired swordsman went. Rebus thought about Sauron's whereabouts. At this time Sauron was on top of the heavy turret. He could just see Rebus below. This is a good opportunity. Zorro thought so in his heart. Sauron looked at Rebus, who was wearing chain mail, but only the upper half of his body was protected by chain mail. However, there is no protection on the head and neck. Seizing this opportunity can make Rebus move his head. Zorro jumped down, holding Yukinashi with both hands to chop off Rebus' neck. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. The 6-barreled revolving heavy machine gun in Rebus's hand turned quickly, aiming at the upper hand and shooting. What? Sauron was shocked. But the large bullets have already been fired from the 6-barreled heavy machine gun, sweeping past Sauron's right shoulder. Sauron changed direction in time and landed on the deck. He rolled in rapid succession, avoiding Rebus' attacks. "Ahahaha, I knew you would attack from the top of the heavy turret," Rebus growled triumphantly. Sauron quickly dodged, and finally got behind a cannon on the side of the hull that was used for close defense. Here, Zorro examines the injury to his right shoulder. Sauron saw only his right shoulder was bloody. Flesh and bruises are not enough to describe the serious injury now. Good thing it didn't hit the bone yet. In fact, if the distance had been slightly off just now, Sauron's entire right arm would have been torn apart by the large bullets. Hulchi is such a powerful weapon beyond imagination. Zorro gritted his teeth and said, "Pirate plant fruit. Pirate plant fruit." Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 657. You can search for Pirate Plant Fruit popular in Baidu to find the latest chapters. At this time, the severe pain made Sauron feel his whole body trembling. Fortunately, he himself was a swordsman who had been born and died for a long time, so he was able to endure these injuries. "Green-haired swordsman, get out of here," Rebus growled. Sauron secretly observed carefully. Rebus now had his 6-barreled heavy machine gun in both hands and was looking for him. Rebus suddenly saw bloodstains on the deck, and these bloodstains drew his attention to the near defense guns where Sauron was hiding. "So you were there," Rebus said excitedly. Oops. Zorro felt something was wrong. If he escaped from the near defense gun, he would also be exposed to the opponent's shooting range. "If you stay here all the time, you will be killed." Rebus took a step forward and walked towards the near defense gun where Sauron was hiding. At this moment, an exploding shuriken suddenly flew in front of Rebus. Boom! Flames and thick smoke from the explosion covered Rebus. "This is..." Zorro understood that the King of Ninja came to his aid. "I saw a ghostly figure quickly approaching Rebus. It was the King of Ninjas." But as soon as the gunpowder smoke dissipated, Rebus discovered the King of Ninjas. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Dense bullets were fired from the 6-barreled heavy machine gun. The Ninja King dodges quickly. "What's going on with this guy?" Rebus said in surprise. The King of Ninja's footwork was even weirder than Sauron's. At first glance, Rebus felt it was difficult to judge how to aim. However, even the King of Ninjas was afraid of the powerful firepower of the 6-barreled heavy machine gun and was forced to constantly dodge. Sauron is now ready to attack. "Okay, come on." Zorro held Shueji tightly with both hands. The pain in his right shoulder seemed to be gone, so now he only has his sword in mind. One knife lives in exile and the lion sings. Zoro's body was like lightning and flint, killing him. From the corner of Libasai's eye, he saw Sauron beheading from his left side. Chong! A harsh voice sounded. The six-barreled heavy machine gun in Rebus's hand was cut off from the gun body. Clang! The barrel of the severed six-barreled heavy machine gun fell to the deck. This. Rebus was shocked to see that the six-barreled heavy machine gun in his hand was cut off by Zoro. The six-barreled heavy machine gun made of steel was actually cut off like this. Rebus looked at Sauron again, and Sauron was in front of him at this time. And the bloody right shoulder was in front of him. It was an attack that Sauron suffered such a serious injury just now. Okay, go ahead. Zoro waved the snow in his hand to continue fighting. Rebus quickly threw the remaining part of the six-barreled heavy machine gun at Zoro, and quickly pulled out two revolvers from his waist. Puff! The Yukino knife in Zoro's hand cut off Rebus' left hand and the revolver he was holding. Rebus' wrists were not covered by chainmail and could not resist the cutting of this sharp katana blade. The revolver in Rebus' right hand took the opportunity to aim at Sauron's head. Just as he was about to pull the trigger, a kunau hit the back of his hand suddenly. What? Rebus was hit by kunau on the back of his right hand, and threw away the revolver in pain. Rebus, whose left hand was broken and his right hand was seriously injured, quickly retreated in pain, and finally retreated to the edge of the ship. Zoro looked to his side and saw the Ninja King rushing towards him. The kunau just now was thrown out in time by the King of Ninjas. Your attack is really sharp, Zoro said to the Ninja King. Thank you for the compliment, the Ninja King said modestly. Zoro and the King of Ninja looked at Rebus, who was cornered. Damn it, you win this time. Rebus threw his body back and jumped into the sea below. Thump! Rebus fell into the sea beside the heavy warship Guard 4. Zoro and the Ninja King did not manage to pursue. The Ninja King looked at Zoro's bloody right shoulder. You're hurt badly, the Ninja King said to Zoro. A swordsman has to learn to endure everything, and pain can't stop me from fighting, Sauron said. But it's too bad to have these wounds without urgent treatment. Zoro still took some painkillers that he carried with him, and with the help of the Ninja King, he simply bandaged his right shoulder. On the sea far away from Guard, a lifeboat was sliding. Mont Blanc, the ape, and the orangutan escaped here by rowing a boat. Mont Blanc looked at the Guard's no heavy warship. Hopefully they can beat their opponents, Mont Blanc said. Don't worry, boss. The swordsmen and heroes will definitely be able to win, Man Ape said excitedly. Yes, Sanji and the Ninja brothers are there. It would be strange if the other party doesn't fail, the orangutan said with certainty. Mont Blanc turned his attention to the giant offshore dock. The huge offshore dock that suffered heavy damage was already highly tilted, and only part of it was sunk due to its huge size. What will happen to this battle? Mont Blanc said. Now the situation of the battle is still very unclear, and it is still unknown who will win. On the fourth deck of the Guards, the Ninja King planned to continue fighting after helping Sauron with a simple treatment of the wound. At this time, a large number of Bellamy pirates' crew rushed onto the deck of this heavy warship. The two charged together and killed dozens of enemies one after another. While the two were fighting, suddenly a figure rushed out and aimed at the crew of the Bellamy pirates and kicked them for a while. Ah, you are here. Sanji looked at the two and said. Zoro and the King of Ninjas looked at Sanji. Sanji was in a state of distress at this time, and his neat suit became tattered and burnt. There are also some bruises on the body, but not serious. Cook, where did you go just now? I didn't see you back during the battle, Zoro said mockingly. Sanji, since you're here too, let's wipe out all these enemies, the King of Ninjas said to Sanji. No, I have a better way. Let's get out of here now. Sanji lit another cigarette for himself. After seeing the confused faces of Zoro and the Ninja King, Sanji continued to explain, "After I jumped into the sea to put out the fire, I returned to the cabin below and set up some depth charges in the arsenal. The explosion time is set. Within a few minutes, the arsenal of this warship will explode, and the explosive power of those depth charges, anti-ship torpedoes, and artillery shells is enough to burst the hull of this heavy warship and sink it." Pirate Plant Fruit. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 658. You can search for Pirate Plant Fruit popular in Baidu to find the latest chapters. Zoro and the King of Ninjas can be regarded as understanding. "So that's how it is," said the Ninja King. "I thought you were always out of business." Sauron complained. "Okay, let's go quickly," Sanji said. The three of them hurried to the deck near the stern, where there were lifeboats and boats. Sanji and the others jumped on it, and then started paddling away quickly with this small boat. Zoro was unable to exert himself due to a serious injury to his right shoulder. Sanji and the Ninja King just rowed with all their strength. The lifeboat boat in which the three people were riding quickly left the Gardno heavy warship. On the deck of the heavy warship Gardno, the fierce battle just now left the place in a mess. The captain of guard came here in person. He looked at the lifeboat boat that was already far away from the heavy warship. "Damn it, they escaped," Captain Gardno said angrily. However, he is also helpless now. The invasion of the Saruyama United Army just now completely destroyed the deployment of this heavy warship, and even the gunners in charge of the two heavy forts were killed. It was now difficult to use the two heavy batteries in time to bombard the lifeboat boats. He looked at the deck, where there was smoke and corpses everywhere, and the devastation wrought by the fighting. "And two of the three main masts have fallen." "No, Captain." Suddenly a crew member rushed over. Captain Gardno looked at him and asked, "What's the matter, so anxious?" The crew member trembled with fear. "The depth charges in the captain's arsenal are timed and are about to explode," the crew member said in horror. "What, then why don't you remove it?" Captain Gardno said in shock. "However, nearly 20 of those depth charges have been set. The time required to disarm those timing devices is simply not enough. The arsenal was also set on fire, which seriously affected our ability to disarm them. Now there are only less than of them left. It's 1 minute, jump off the ship and escape for your life," the crew member said tremblingly. After speaking, the crew member quickly rushed to the side of the ship and jumped down. Captain Gardno looked at the surrounding sea, his whole body froze. With the depth charges in the arsenal, the artillery shells and anti-ship torpedoes were detonated together. Even if they jumped into the sea to escape now, it was useless. "This must be the arrangement of fate," Captain Gardno said helplessly and indifferently. In the arsenal of Gardno cabin. Tick-tock tick-tock. It was time for those depth charges to be detonated. Boom, 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 boom. Swarms of depth charges began to explode, anti-ship torpedoes were also detonated, and artillery shells were also detonated. Amazing explosions burst out from the arsenal. This huge explosive force tore apart the hull of Gardno. And the solid hull made of steel could not resist the huge power of the explosion. This huge explosive force contained high temperature and impact force, which blasted the huge hull of Gardno from the sea surface, and part of the hull was lifted out of the sea surface. Dazzling flames and billowing smoke covered the surrounding sea. The earth-shattering explosion of Gardno caused the surrounding waves to be lifted up, eventually forming a small tsunami. Sanji, Zoro, and the King of Ninjas who escaped in the lifeboat, as well as Mont Blanc, Man-Ape, and Orangutan, as well as Rogue and Usopp at the giant sea dock, all saw this amazing explosion. It was really a terrible explosion. Mont Blanc, who was sitting in the lifeboat boat, sighed. Such a violent explosion, it seems that Brother Sanji and the others successfully destroyed the enemy's warship. The orangutan looked at Guard No, who was in the violent explosion, and said, "To be able to produce such a violent explosion, I'm afraid it might have detonated a place like an arsenal." The orangutan looked at Guard No among the thick smoke and huge waves and said, "This heavy warship in the violent explosion sank into the rolling waves after the violent explosion." On another lifeboat, Sanji, Zoro, and the King of Ninja looked at the bodyguard four that sank in the explosion. "What a spectacular firework!" Sanji said with emotion. "It's a situation where no one will survive." Sauron looked at the exploding Guard No and said, "On the top deck of the giant offshore dock, Rog and Luffy, as well as Usopp and the Goddess of Springs, all saw the Guard No in the explosion. The heavy warship was torn and trembled amidst the flames and thick smoke, and then sank into the rolling waves. What a violent explosion!" Rog looked at the destroyed Guard No and said, "Wow, that's really cool." Luffy jumped up excitedly after seeing this spectacular explosion. "Sanji and the others are really capable," Usopp said with a sigh. However, he quickly pointed his thumb at himself and said, "But this victory was only achieved under Captain Usopp's humble guidance." Rog moved his gaze to the three main warships of the Bellamy pirates in the north of the giant sea dock. The people aboard the new Vichy Bello and Guard 1 and Guard 2 were still under the influence of psychedelic mushrooms. "The enemy is still under the effect of psychedelic mushrooms. What should we do?" Roger said. "That's right, but do we mean to attack them?" Usopp asked. "That's impossible. Although they are under the effect of psychedelic mushrooms, once they are seriously attacked, they will quickly wake up from the psychedelic state," Rog said quickly. Usopp looked a little disappointed and said, "So that's it? Your psychedelic mushrooms are not omnipotent." Rog looked at the enemy warships in the distance and said, "Nothing can be perfect. Although the psychedelic mushroom used by Rog is powerful and can make the enemy fall into a psychedelic state, once the psychedelic enemy is violently attacked, he will wake up. This way, then we can't attack the enemy yet," Usopp said to Roger. Rog looked at the three enemy main warships, the new Vichy Bello, and thought about how to deal with the enemy. At this moment, the giant offshore dock suddenly trembled further, and then continued to sink. Oops, could it be that this giant offshore dock has sunk further? Rog looked at the giant offshore dock at his feet. After suffering astonishing damage in a series of fierce battles just now, this behemoth couldn't bear it anymore and was about to sink. "What should we do? What should we do?" Usopp said in horror. "Pirate plant fruit. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 659. You can search for Pirate Plant Fruit popular in Baidu to find the latest chapters. At this moment, two lifeboats and small boats stopped next to the giant sea dock one after another. Mont Blanc, the ape, and the orangutan, as well as Sanji and Zoro, the king of ninjas, all boarded the already crumbling giant sea dock. The six people walked on this already highly inclined giant sea dock, and finally came to Rog and Luffy. The people meet again. "Ah, everyone is finally back," Usopp said excitedly. "Everyone, you fought very bravely. But someone is injured." Rog looked at Sanji and Mont Blanc and said, "Ah, it's just a small injury once," Sauron said calmly. "This injury is fatal," Mont Blanc said. Rog looked at them and said, "The injuries you suffered are not minor. Please go find Chopper for treatment later." Rog could clearly see that there was a lot of blood on Sauron's right shoulder and Mont Blanc's right arm, and it was obvious that he had suffered a lot of injuries. Moreover, the faces of the two of them were obviously resisting. Mont Blanc looked at the huge, heavily tilted offshore dock. "It's really a mess here. Mont Blanc said with emotion. The giant offshore dock was continuously and violently attacked, and it was already severely damaged. At this time, everyone standing on the top deck of this giant offshore dock could feel that this behemoth was sinking. At this moment, there was a sudden burst of noisy sound. In a passage leading to the top deck, a group of Ape Mountain United Army crews emerged from the interior of the giant sea dock. As soon as the crew members of the Ape Mountain Alliance Army came out, they discovered Mont Blanc and the orangutans on the top deck. "Commander-in-Chief, all heroes, you are all here," a crew member of the Ape Mountain United Army said excitedly after seeing everyone. "What happened?" Mont Blanc looked at the nervous and anxious crew and said. The extremely nervous crew member said to Mont Blanc, "Commander-in-Chief, heroes, something bad has happened. The hull of the giant offshore dock has suffered devastating damage after being intensively attacked by the enemy. The keel was damaged, and it was already in the water. Accelerate the sinking. It's going to be like this," Mont Blanc said with beads of sweat on his face. "Why do you say this giant offshore dock can no longer be used?" The orangutan said in disbelief. "How could this giant offshore dock have been with us for so long?" The orangutan said dejectedly. Although this news is difficult to accept, Mont Blanc and the others also need to recognize the reality. Since this is the case, there is no other way. Since this giant offshore dock is destined to sink, then let's evacuate all our personnel," Mont Blanc said regretfully. "Boss!" cried the ape and the orangutan in unison. Now this situation is also out of choice. Faced with such a critical situation, the only option is to evacuate. Mont Blanc looked at everyone and said, "Now we are facing an unprecedented crisis situation, and there is no other way but to retreat. After all, we cannot save this giant offshore dock that has suffered devastating damage from sinking. Although the faces of the apes and orangutans are not good looking, they can only admit it. Okay, everyone is ready to evacuate from this giant offshore dock," Mont Blanc said. "Obey," said the crew of the Ape Mountain United Army. The entire giant offshore dock began to move, and many people inside began to evacuate. Sanji also hurried down to the cabin of this giant sea dock. "By the way, we must bring Miss Nami and Sister Robin out quickly." Sanji only thought about it. During the fierce battle just now, Nami, Robin and Chopper had been hiding in the room in the cabin. The entire giant offshore dock was severely damaged unprecedentedly, and began to sink continuously. The crew of the surviving Ape Mountain United Army also quickly evacuated from it. A large walking ladder is set up on the side of the giant sea dock, and everyone in the giant sea dock can move from here to the port. Masses of people moved to the shore of the port via these large walking ladders. The giant offshore dock was severely damaged just now, causing many members of the Ape Mountain United Army to die, but most of them still survived. Rog, Luffy, and the Goddess of Spring are also behind, try to get most people to evacuate and then retreat. Although the retreat was urgent, it was very methodical. Members of the Ape Mountain United Army quickly evacuated to the port of Magic Valley City. Sanji finally found Nami, Robin, and Chopper. Escorted by Sanji, they walked up the large walking ladder to the shore of the port. "Finally it's safe." Nami stepped onto the land on the shore of the port, and said with a sigh of relief. "I didn't expect this giant offshore dock to tilt to such an extent." Robin said after looking back at the giant sea dock that was sinking at an accelerated rate. "Did anyone get hurt in your fight just now?" Chopper suddenly asked Sanji. Sanji then remembered and said, "Ah, yes. Green Algae Head and Mont Blanc were both seriously injured." "Is it really that serious?" Chopper said with some concern. "It's not very fatal. They are waiting at the back of the palace and you can help them heal after they arrive on shore," Sanji said. Compared with Nami and Robin, Sanji can be said to be quite indifferent to other people. Above the top deck of the giant offshore dock, Rog, Luffy, and Zorro continued to be in the rear. Everyone looked at the three main warships of the Bellamy pirates. Roger, it's like what you said. Will attacking them rashly make them regain consciousness? Mont Blanc asked Zorro. Well, yes. So still don't attack. Let them continue to immerse themselves in hallucinations. Roger said. Including the new Vicky Bello, the people aboard the three main warships of the Bellamy pirates continued to fall into a psychedelic state. If Rog and Sauron attack rashly, after the enemy becomes sober, it will make the enemy counter-attack quickly. And regardless of whether everyone can win, the sober Bellamy and the others are likely to attack the members of the Ape Mountain United Army who have not completely evacuated. Okay, now we will continue to monitor for a while. Then retreat. Mont Blanc said. Everyone continued to monitor here for a while, and then began to leave here. However, there are still three very important ships in the giant offshore dock. Pirate Plant Fruit. Pirate Plant Fruit. Author, Lee A Dream. Chapter 660. You can search for Pirate Plant Fruit popular in Baidu to find the latest chapters. That is the Victory Hunter, the Ulton Probe and the Forward Mary. Everyone took these three ships out of the inner dock of the giant sea dock. Of course, these three ships were still unable to fight against the three main warships of the Bellamy pirates, so they drove away while the enemy was immersed in a psychedelic state. On the deck of the Victory Hunter, Mont Blanc, the ape, and the orangutan looked at the giant offshore dock that continued to sink. This behemoth has finally ushered in the moment of its end after accompanying the Ape Mountain United Army for countless years. Sink, our mates. The orangutan said with a serious face. We lost a good brother. The orangutan said with emotion. Montblanc gazed at the giant maritime dock that was sinking. Ape Mountain Union, may you always protect us. Mont Blanc said solemnly. After bidding farewell to the giant sea dock, the three also commanded the heavy pirate ship to continue sailing. The orangutan looked at another heavy pirate ship, the Ulton Probe, and said, Okay, it's time for me to go back to my ship. A ladder was set up between the two heavy pirate ships, the Victory Hunter and the Ulton Detection, and the orangutan walked from here to the Ulton Detection. Now Mont Blanc and the orangutan are on the Victory Hunter, the orangutan is on the Ulton Probe, and Rog and Sauron are on the Mary. Usopp hugged the main mast of the Mary and said kindly, Our ship is still kind. Luffy sat on the sheep's head at the front of the bow of the Mary, looking around and said excitedly, It's been a long time since I've enjoyed this view. Roger stood on the deck of the Mary, looking at the surrounding sea. The Bellamy pirates are still difficult to deal with. We need to fight harder. Roger said. Sauron sat quietly on the deck of the Mary. He took a small amount of medicine to relieve his injuries. The Ninja King and the Goddess of Spring also looked at the sea around them. Originally, they were going to part after everyone arrived here, but they needed to fight hard together for a while when they fought against the Grandet forces and Bellamy on the way. The melee sailed between the Victory Hunter and the Ulton Probe again. Although the melee, which is only 30 meters long, is the smallest among the three, it looks as if the heavy pirate groups on both sides are escorting it. At the same time, the three ships are constantly exchanging action plans with each other. When we were at the giant offshore dock just now, everyone planned to let most of the members go to the port, and then the three ships went to a distant sea area to take shelter temporarily. After all, the powerful warships of the Bellamy pirates are too powerful, and the three ships will probably be sunk if they fight together. Fortunately, the Mongolian allied forces led by Mont Blanc were very familiar with the situation in the waters around Gaia Island and knew that there was a small uninhabited island in the far southwest of Gaia Island, where three ships could take shelter. Avoid. In this way, the three ships continued to sail on the sea, heading for the uninhabited island. After sailing for a while, the three ships finally arrived at an uninhabited island in the southwest waters of Gaia Island. Although it is near Gaia Island, it is quite remote and far away from the main route, so it is difficult to be found. After docking the Victory Hunter, Ultan Detection, and Melihir, some crew members were left behind to take care of them. Rog, Zoro, Mont Blanc, Usopp and Luffy, as well as the King of Ninja and the Goddess of Spring, the orangutan, and the orangutan all took a small boat dropped from the Utan probe and began to return to Gaia Island. Everyone sat on this small boat of only more than 10 meters and began to return to Gaia Island. However, the speed of this small ship is still too slow. Our speed is still too slow. Mont Blanc looked at the sail of this small ship and said, "Give it to me." Roger said. Roger took out a ball of banana leaves from his clothes. This group of banana leaves is connected together, and it has been transformed by Rog before. However, to make it truly work, Rog needs to use the ability of the plant fruit to further transform it. Rog concentrated the power of the plant fruit in his body and gathered it on his hands. Rog's hands flickered green. "It's amazing." The orangutan observed intently. Brother Rog is about to use his ability again. The orangutan looked at Roger's hands and sighed. Rog continuously transmitted the power of the plant fruit to the banana leaf in his hands. These banana leaves are undergoing rapid transformation. Not only do they grow bigger, but the originally soft banana leaves also become hard, as if they were steel. In the end, the mass of banana leaves formed a huge mass of banana leaves that resembled a propeller. There are 4 banana leaves, all of which are attached to the branches. "Okay, the spiral banana leaf is finished," Roger said with sweat on his face. After all, the injury from the previous battle with Bellamy has not fully recovered, and Rog used a lot of plant fruit power one after another, which is still very exhausting. "So how are you going to use this?" Mont Blanc asked Rog. "As the propeller of propulsion, you all come here," Rog said to Mont Blanc and the others. Everyone followed Rog to the stern of the small boat. Here at the stern, Rog installed the propeller banana leaf on the stern. Even on the deck near the stern it is easy to install as this small boat does not have a deep draft. "Okay, now start driving." Roger continued to hold the propeller on the banana leaf branch with one hand. Rog is still sending a little plant fruit power to the propeller banana leaf. Plop 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 plop. The propeller banana leaf began to spin violently. The sea water was violently beaten up. The propeller banana leaves create a strong propulsion towards the sea behind the stern. The small ship began to speed forward. However, Rog needs to maintain a proper amount of plant fruit power injected into the propeller banana leaf. This ship actually got faster, Mont Blanc said with a sigh. Propelled by the banana leaves of the propeller, this small boat sailed forward quickly. "What a nice plant tool," Usopp said excitedly. At this time, Usopp was standing on the bow of the boat again, and started all kinds of high-spirited boasting. Once upon a time, Captain Usopp was in that dangerous sea. The small vessel sped towards Gaia Island. Pirate plant fruit.